What's the plan for the rest of the day, mate? You
Uh,
golf?
I've actually got another podcast lined up for later on. Because I've just thought, well, while I'm off work and not doing anything right now, might as
Gotta
well
get
just make
back.
most of my time.
Yeah. There's some nice courses up there, isn't there?
Oh, aye. Well, I've not really played much golf.
No?
No, it's like I know all the footballers tend to enjoy playing golf in their spare time and that. Like I was speaking to Marvin Bartley last week,
Hmm.
and he said he's just taking lessons now.
Yeah,
But
I'm not much better either, mate. I've got to be honest with you. I've always been boys. I don't know how they do it really. On their days off, you're meant to be resting and recovering, and boys who go and play golf. I'm like, that's not really recovering or resting. Or to
no,
be fair,
you're
I
still
always spent.
exercising your arm
Uh,
muscles.
yeah, I always spent the time actually with the wife or with the family.
Quite
Once
right.
you have your family, I think that's it. It takes over. There's no chance. My
Oh,
missus would kill me if I'm saying I'm just going golfing on my day off. Hen, no. What are you doing? No chance. So
What's the golf
certainly know who's the
situation
boss.
like in Australia? What's it like in golfing in Australia?
It's well, there's a golf course just on the back of where I live here, and I think it's just free play now. Like there was a period when it was just only two people
All
per
right.
round, but now you can play up to four people per hole more or less as you go around. It's all the restrictions have
Mhm.
eased right off, so we're very lucky, mate.
Yeah.
We're very good, but yeah, it's something that I still need to take up properly. I'm not the best, mate. I got to be honest. It's
Isn't
I'm getting.
correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there like a lake in the middle of a golf course in Australia that has sharks?
I don't know. That might be Greg Norman's because he's called the Shark. Must be his.
Must
It
be.
must be.
It has to
I'd
be.
have to go. I'd have to Google that, mate. That's an interesting one. I've never heard that.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have to Google that one, mate.
I because I remember reading something like that, and I was like, "What? It's can't be." But it came from like some mad storm in Australia, and like the sea came over
It
and
can't.
overspilled.
That
What?
can't be right. It can't be
I,
right.
I
I,
don't
I
know.
don't. I
It's
can't.
something I read, but I didn't know if it was true or not. So I had to ask
Yeah.
an Australian myself.
No. Never heard of it, mate. Sorry.
No worries, we're almost loaded, so hurry
Hey,
up.
you're good, mate.
It's all good. But thing is, with me interviewing footballers now, something I really enjoy, and what I want to do with my career, I hopefully break into the football media and do it full time, and maybe even do
Mhm.
YouTube full time. And this is great experience for me to do that.
Yeah, it's a shame that you live so far from Motherwell
I
in
know,
terms of being able to get in there, and I'm sure Flo would help you out.
yeah, because
Doing some stuff.
believe it or not, I interviewed Robbo a couple seasons ago, and his son watches my videos, and like Robbo told me himself, he was like, my kids never stop watching your videos. I was like, that's strange, but is that I'd say that is the biggest compliment as a football
Yeah,
fan creator, to be told by a
yeah,
footballer that they watch your videos. That's the
of
pinnacle.
course. Yeah, but it's nice to see you guys because like you guys are the real people that are involved in it and the raw emotions that you just get from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be good laugh,
But it
watching it
can
and feel good factor, like going like
when you
when
do
you're
well,
absolutely
anyway.
when you when you're buzzing. But as a neutral now, I can like if I'm watching yourself or anyone else, you can watch and like if you're starting to hammer someone, you can actually start like watch it and laugh because it's not you, like
Absolutely.
and it's the raw emotion of it at the time. Well, you only need to look at like the likes of Arsenal TV and things like that,
Yeah.
how it just
That's exactly what I
went,
try not to be.
yeah, like Motherwell TV. You don't stand outside and go, "What did you think of the game?"
No,
No.
I don't really find that sort of content I like to make. I just like to show people what my day's like, show how
Yeah.
I get to the game. Usually it's 2 trains to Motherwell from Cooper, and
Yeah.
then maybe a 4-hour round trip. But at the end of the day, I just enjoy it, and the fact I
Yeah.
managed.
Who's the sorry to jump in? Who's the English guy with his son that does it? They do a similar thing, don't they?
Oh, you
Because they
mean
did a tour of Scotland, didn't they?
Thogden and Thogdad?
Is that what it is? Yeah,
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 like the sort of football vlogging community, if you want to call it that. We're actually quite close. Like I've spoken to several English guys that do the same sort of stuff I do, and uh, I met most of them last year when I was at the Football Content Awards because I got a
yeah.
nomination for that. So
Oh, well done.
yeah, I mean it shows that I'm not just doing something for the laughs, but it's always good to talk to more people that actually do the same sort of stuff as you because you actually learn something through the conversation.
Yeah, I just remember seeing those guys because their stuff went viral when they went to
Yeah,
Ibrox last year. They just went, all the Celtic fans just kept like showing it because
yeah,
it was obviously hilarious to Celtic fans, and they got a lot of airtime throughout that period in
yeah.
Scotland
I mean,
for that
Theo
one.
likes going to the big grounds. Like he was at Rangers Leverkusen before the pandemic struck, and then he was at several Celtic games as well. So
Yeah,
I mean, fair play. The boy's making a killing out of it as well.
is he really?
Aye, there's a lot of money
Sponsorship?
through sponsorship and through just adverts you can put on your YouTube. Like
Yeah, YouTube and that.
I make a couple of pennies from it, but it's nothing life changing
Yeah.
like the
In
same way.
terms of when you get a subscriber, is that like you make money off subscribers
So
or what? What is that?
like all you do is just get a notification through your email saying, "Oh, this person subscribed to you." But it's like subscribers are good, but views are where it's at, and it's through
Yeah.
like if someone plays like your ads that you put up in the middle of your video, like the full way. That's
Yeah.
that's how you make your money.
All right. Do you know what? I'm always a Exa man, but if I'm ever watching one or whatever, I will make sure I watch the full advert now. Now that you've said that to me, I've
We've
never
got that
known that.
certified then.
I've I've never ever known that. So that's an interesting one. So now that I know that,
Yeah,
if I'm ever
so
watching
people
anyone that I
watching,
want to support,
do not skip the adverts.
yeah, there you go. You've heard it here first.
Welcome back to the second half of the Gog Pod. Now, of course, the camera timed out for a minute, so I had to recharge the batteries. But we're back with a bang. Skippy, how's it going, man?
I'm good. I ended up running the camera out because I talk too much.
No, the more you talk, the easier it is for.
Or I broke it. One of the two.
We'll go with the first one.
Yeah.
So, when you left Celtic, you went to sign for Middlesbrough, and one game I particularly remember seeing you play, I think it might have been on Sky Sports. I watched you score a hat-trick at Hull in a 4-2 victory.
Mhm.
Did you prefer playing in England to Scotland, or was it the other way around?
Look, I think when you play for a club like Celtic and you win trophies and you play European Champions League and playing against the likes of Barcelona's and AC Milan's, I think it's hard to compare that. And it was a very difficult period for me when I first left Celtic to go to Middlesbrough. Probably one that at the time felt right to go because Gordon was at Middlesbrough, and the offer that they had offered me was phenomenal. And you're looking at it going, well, believing that the squad that we're going to have is going to get back to the Premiership in one ask, you're thinking it can't go no wrong. But quickly after, a couple of months, I started to really miss being at Celtic because of playing in front of big crowds and the chance to win things, but also the pressure that came with that. There was huge pressures, and I loved living in that type of bubble and atmosphere that you had to perform. It kept you on your toes. You had to perform week in, week out, and everyone was in the same position. And the players all knew that they had to be at their best every week. And when you go back down to England, it didn't feel like that. There was a lot of players that just would go through the motions, and there wasn't as much of a demand or a following in terms of the fans that would put that demand on the players. So from that was a hard thing to get over to start with. But I really enjoyed my time at Middlesbrough. It was a great football club, premiership facilities, premiership stadium, just everything was there for us to go and be successful. But just unfortunately during my period at the club, we just never managed to put a full season together. Like, I think there was twice in the years that I was there that we were top of the table at Christmas time, and we fell away the second half of the season.
That's the sort of thing with Middlesbrough. They sort of start really well, and then they just
fall away. But it was interesting as well. I learned a lot through going back down to Middlesbrough from Celtic, in terms of the physical element of the game and what the championship was all about. And I think the way that us as players that were playing for Celtic and Rangers, a lot of us signed for Middlesbrough at that time. I think we were nicknamed Middlesbrough or something like that. You know.
Oh yeah, because of
because of all the Scots.
Yeah,
because of all the Scots that we had, and we couldn't really get away from that. And I think a lot of our players were so used to being in control of the football, being in control of possession a lot of the games. Whereas in the championship, it's hammer and tong, to and fro, transitional games, and you have to earn the right to be able to win the football matches. You're not going to have 5-6 chances a game as a centre forward. So in terms of me and my fitness, it had to change. I had to get leaner, I had to get fitter, to get stronger, and that was a rude awakening to begin with. But I worked at it, and I think everyone would agree when I came back up to Scotland the second time, when people were looking at me, I was a lot leaner and a lot fitter. And that's why I'm still able to play now, because I'd learned and adapted and matured in my time down in England, that I knew I had to do those things in order to progress in my career and to continue to play at that level. But yeah, again, playing at Middlesbrough, I learned different things, because I didn't always play up front. Played up front for good periods, and then I would play. You know, we'd play in a system with a 4-3-3. Yeah, I'd play in a 10 role, or I'd play in a wide left role. And great education, because now you start to learn the game. You're starting to think about the game, and you're probably actually, by the end of my time at Middlesbrough, I'm a far better footballer, a far better player with much more intelligence. Knowledge
just a finisher.
than what I was when I was playing at Celtic. Even at that point, playing against better players, you're more ready and you're more mature. So the longer you go, the better you become. And I just felt that. And then leaving there to go to Millwall, that was a crazy experience. Playing for the mighty Millwall at the Den. Well, I was in the last year of my contract at Middlesbrough, so it was coming to an end, and I was getting sort of the financial strain of being. Their point of view was, sorry, my earpods have gone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, yeah, it just broke off there. But yeah, being in the last year of my deal, and the club sort of wanting me to move on, it forced a hand a little bit, and I ended up probably jumping at the first thing that came my way, because I was desperate to now progress and move on with my career and try and kickstart it again, because I felt like it was sort of now a new opportunity to break the shackles of being at Middlesbrough, because I was locked into a contract where I was never going to get that type of contract at any other football club. So I had to, look after probably, in terms of my family, and sometimes, the security of that then starts to take over having to go and progress in your career. And I was locked in because, no one that I probably would reach those levels was going to take me.
So it was a difficult period for me in a mental side of things, because I was frustrated about not being able to play it, at I wouldn't say a bigger club, because Middlesbrough was a big club, but just trying to get to the Premier League. It just never happened, and that was a frustrating thing. And then going to Millwall, wanting to start it again, and again, going to Millwall, it was, right, you're going to play with Steve Morrison. Steve Morrison, ex-Norwich, Leeds, had a great career at Millwall, scored loads of goals, big target man, real handful. And Stevie Lomas was like...
Oh, Steve Lomas,
but he's ex-West Ham, isn't he?
Oh, I remember that.
So I'll never forget him saying to me at the time, Scotty, this needs to start well, or else I'm in trouble. Like, well, I'm being an ex-West Ham boy. If we don't start winning games early, I'm going to be gone. So we really need to start well here.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, he was under pressure. So I should have realised that before signing, that this was going to be a difficult situation for Steve, and the things that he was promising might not materialise that way, because he needed to win football matches. So early on, I found that I wasn't playing with Steve Morrison up top, and we ended up playing 4-3-3s and different shapes, formations, and it was unsettling. And it was a period where, in front of goal anyway, it was my most unsuccessful time. But that was probably more to do with, once Steve left, Ian Holloway came in, who was an unbelievable character, I'll tell you. We've seen him time and again, with on the TV and what he's like. And I can generally say that's just him. He's like this. He's like that all the time.
My mate's met him, and he told him, Ian Holloway told my mate, if you're ever going to be a manager, just don't take anyone's bullshit. And that was his only advice to him.
Was it really?
Yeah, literally.
He's an unbelievable character, Ian. But what I will say about him was, he was probably around about at that time, he was the first manager to start making me thinking more about the game from a tactical sense. And there was more than one way to skin a cat, and how he actually did what he did when he was at Blackpool, and the way he did it to get them successful and go to the Premier League was quite an achievement. And the way he did it, and he tried to do it at Millwall, and for periods, actually, we were successful in doing it. And he showed me that you didn't need to have the best players that, possible to your disposal, but it's what you do with them and how effective they can be in the right areas of the pitch. And he was very good at actually making sure that you were in the right areas of the pitch to hurt other teams. And some people would say it wasn't pretty at times, but effective. And he was always hard teams to play. I remember playing against teams at Blackpool. They were always difficult. Charlie Adam, who we all know, would just get on the ball like a quarterback and just start zinging balls left, right, and centre. Big diags all the time and second balls. But he'd done so much on the game educationally. He'd gone to Spain. And I've got to say, for the period of time, that was probably the biggest positive about being at Millwall, was learning stuff from Ian from a tactical point of view. I mean, we ended up falling out in the end, because I don't think Ian will mind me saying this. He'd probably kill me, but he's barking mad, mate. He's like, and I'm opinionated as well. So we were in love with each other, and then we would hate each other one moment or another. So, but in the end, it didn't end very, very nicely, and that led me into the path of actually, coming back to Motherwell, because I genuinely think the period that I had under Ian probably came to my undoing in terms of trying to find another club in England at that point. Which was disappointing, that some people felt like it was okay to basically put a black mark against your name. Which later was discussed and more or less cleaned up with the people who'd done that. But It was disappointing at the time that happened, but it led to me coming back to, more or less my second home, and coming back to Motherwell and helping the club out to go and stay safe and progress in the Premier League again.
Also, while you were back in Scotland, you had an opportunity doing some punditry with the BBC. How did that come about?
It was something that I always loved doing and wanted to do. I remember way back, even when I was at Motherwell the first time, I would do the ITV show. God, what was it called?
Was it Scott
Jim
Sport?
Delahunt used to host it with Sarah O, and they used to have the fans. Remember the fans that used to stand there?
Like, that was at the very start.
Scott Sport.
Yeah, Scott Sport. That was at the very start of me starting to appreciate football the way I do now.
Yeah.
So it was in my first couple of seasons as a football fan, but apart from that, it sort of died a death, didn't it?
Yeah, well,
now it's sports.
at that point there was that, and I was a guest a couple of times on that, and then Satanta took over the SBL and ended up doing a lot of highlight shows with them, even at that early stage. So I was really comfortable in front of a camera, and I really buzzed off it and enjoyed it, and always felt like if there was a possibility to do more, I would love to do it. And going away, then obviously going to Celtic thereafter, it's quite frowned upon when you play with the old firm to do a lot of media work. Yeah. Because everything likes to be kept in-house and controlled. Yeah. So you were sort of cut off from those media outlets, so to speak, until the club said, right, sit down, you can talk to them within the confinement, and you can talk to them then, and that was only then, which was fine. Totally understood it, and your game was playing football anyway, not to talk to people as much. But then found myself go back down to England and got invited back up to do a few Sky Sports gigs and whatever else, and thoroughly loved it, enjoyed it. People seemed to think that I was okay at it. And certainly when I came back to Scotland, coming back to Motherwell, it was certainly one of the things that was discussed with me coming back when I re-signed on a permanent basis, that as long as the manager, speaking to Ian Barclough and the club, they understood that was something that I really wanted to do and wanted to do a lot of it while still playing. And they were very supportive throughout that whole period, which was great for me because I did have one eye on trying to probably forge a career in it thereafter, or give myself the opportunity to do that if I didn't want to do other things. I've kind of felt I've been in between things the whole time, even as a player, because I love the game, and I certainly have done my UEFA B, UEFA A, and now looking to do my pro license that, I'd love to coach and be a manager, certainly, one day, but you don't want to close any doors. So
no, absolutely not.
When I sort of had enough, obviously after my last season when I went to Dundee United, I just felt at that point, right, well, I tried something different, because being at Motherwell the second time, it kind of felt like, it was a homecoming, but I kind of felt in my mindset that it's all too comfortable, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's actually going the other way for me now. And my mindset was always to progress and move forward. And I found it very hard just to be, how do I say, content. I've never been quite a content person. That was the thing. And when there was other opportunities that came up, I was looking at it at that point, and I wanted to do other things. And there was things that happened through the second period at Motherwell where people didn't allow that. So that really frustrated me, and not being able to do that after being at the club for so long. But things happen like that, Goggsy, and you respect it, and you move on, and you're sort of happy that the club got what they needed. But at the same time, in the end, all things work out well. But I never got what I wanted at that point. But it's one of them. So you move on. you look at more new challenges, and I was sort of saying, well, hey, I don't really want to go to another Premiership club after I leave Motherwell and be in the same position, because I might as well be at Motherwell. There's no point in me going to, no disrespect to a St Johnstone or a, Partick Thistle at the time, or any of those clubs that are sort of in that middle bracket. If I can't, go higher, then there's no point in really staying there. So I thought to myself, right, well, here we go. Then what's the next challenge then? Do I go back down to England, play a lower league again, play 46 games a season, never be home, never be with my family, be on a bus 24/7? Don't really want to do that.
Absolutely.
And as we were talking about, the media stuff was kicking off at that point, doing a lot more stuff with BBC and doing stuff with BT at times. So I thought, you know what? Dundee United came up, amazing club in terms of, the history, the size of it. And being in a different division, felt, well, I'm not having to play against all the teams that I played against, week in, week out over the whole period I've been in Scottish football. Let's try something different. We're going to go to different clubs, different environments. Yeah. Maybe not as glamorous, but it's going to be a huge challenge. You're going to be the big club again, like you were at Celtic. Everyone's going to want to take you off your perch. And hopefully you can reach the goals at the end and celebrate and going to be happy, and everything works out well. Huge favourites for the league, and you do well. But unfortunately, it didn't materialise that way, as we all know. And my time at Dundee United was mixed. It started off fantastically well. Ray McKinnon, loved working with Ray, great guy. And look, the club made a decision to bring a foreign manager in, and look, everyone will look back and go, it was a wrong decision. The wrong decision for that football club at that time. They needed someone who had a bit of know-how. It's a bit like I refer it probably back to English Championship. You need people who understand that league to be able to get you out of it. It's a tough league, the Scottish Championship as well. And there's a lot of upsets within the season at hand, majority of the years. And that season was definitely, there was a lot of them. And we disappointed hugely where we finished and how the season finished, because we should have done a lot better, no question. But there was a lot of variables throughout that season that decision-making wise could have been better for the performances to be better. And then thereafter, because I was still traveling from, as you know, because you do it a lot, traveling from, Glasgow, South Lanarkshire, all the way up to St Andrews every day. It was gruesome. It was tiring. I'd gone from having an agreement with Ray McKinnon to be able to train so many days down the road and do so many days up there, so I could spend time with a family, a young family, and still be professional, which I always am and was, to then going in with a German-style manager who just wouldn't give me a day off. So I didn't see my family for more or less like 8 months of the year. I would get home at like 5, 6 o'clock at night, and then I'll be back on. We used to call it the Wenger bus, because there was about 6 of us used to travel from Glasgow, and you'd be on the bus at 6:30 in the morning. Oh, okay. So it was kind of like doing a proper. Let's be real. Yeah. It was kind of like doing a proper job. Nothing wrong with that, mind you.
Oh, absolutely.
Got a graft. But from the physical element, it was difficult. It was difficult to, and at that time as well, you're sort of asking questions going, right, this wasn't what I signed up for. And I'm kind of like going, right, I'm not enjoying this as much as I should be. But I still enjoyed playing the games because of Tannadice, great atmosphere, good club. Yeah. But the whole grind of the week leading in was so difficult, week in, week out. And with the snow, half the time, my God, getting through Cumbernauld, that was the challenge, mate. That's always the challenge. So that was some experience that whole season. But it more or less put me 6 foot under and scunnered me, a good Scottish word for the game. Mm-hmm. I'd had enough. By that point, I was like, right, I've done my lot now. I'm not going to play any more football within Scotland. Mm-hmm. I don't want to play in Scotland anymore. I've done it all that I possibly could do, experienced majority of it. So that's me done. Let's go and try something else. So I ended up going into the media side of things, and never thought for a moment to come back and play again. But here we are. Yeah. Still playing. Again, ended up coming back. And
was it Gary Caldwell that called you back out of retirement, or was it Jerry?
Well, Gary asked me to come in the November time of the season before last, and I went in and trained because it was on my doorstep. They were training at Lesser Hampden, because due to the bad weather, and I was just doing my media commitments at the time, really enjoying it, loving it. Probably the happiest I've been in a long time. And I was in no rush to come back, but Gary convinced me to come back and train. And within 2 days, I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I just was like, this ain't for me, Gaz. I'm done. I can't come into this environment. It's not the environment I want to be in, because I could see that he had a massive job at that point because he was dealing with players that weren't his own, because he came in like, I think it was like September, October.
Yeah. And
previous management had signed all those players. So it was kind of like there was kind of rifts within it. And I was like, I'm not getting involved in that situation, because it would just upset me if players aren't going to want to be there or be professional. So I'm better off not being in the game. So I sort of said, no, that's me, done. And then the January time come, Gary changed a lot of things, did well. And also I got a phone call from Australia at that time with Western United about to start in the A-League in their first ever season. It was a shock call. It came and it was like, would you like to come across and play in Australia? I was like, I'd absolutely love to. And they were saying, well, we know you've not played for such a period though. What's your fitness like and everything? I said, be fine. Because again, we talk about, I don't like pre-seasons, but you can't take 7 months, 8 months off and then just come back and play. Aye. So I was in shape. I looked after myself really, really well. Even to the surprise of, I think, Gary as well, when I came back in there, I think it was February, and signed for them. So with that in the back of my mind with Western United, it was kind of like, right, well, I needed to prove myself to be able to make that deal be concrete. So the relationship was perfect for both parties in terms of Partick and myself. And I've got to say that was probably the most I've enjoyed my football in a long, long time. I loved it. Absolutely loved it, Partick Thistle. And the fans just took to me straight away. And again, it's a little bit like we were talking about the story when I first turned up at Motherwell. It had that feeling. You come on and straight away in your debut, you score a goal. So you get that romantic side coming again, and it's that feeling all over again like you had at that period when you first joined Motherwell. So I think probably looking back, that's kind of what it was, and straight away you have that connection, and your performances go from strength to strength. And throughout that period of time, me retiring, I learned a lot about myself, and on reflection in terms of what I could have done better as a player.
What was it that lured you to Western United? Was it the fact that you had a chance to create history with a new club?
It was a chance to finish my career where it all started. I think we remember there might have been an opportunity a few years before that.
At West, was it West Sydney that?
Yeah. So, which I wanted to go, Goggsy. I wanted to go, but
that's absolutely fine.
But it was because it was a chance to, and that's why we went this time, because I wanted to change the lifestyle for my family, my children. More importantly, that was a chance to give them a different experience in life. And
quite right.
Australia is a fantastic place to live. So I was sort of now thinking outside the box as well as football, that this could be a great opportunity for everyone to try something different. And if you don't like it, then there's always the opportunity to come back anyhow, with the kids being so young. And I was just grateful that we got the chance in the end to actually do it. So when the opportunity came, I bit it off with two hands, and here we are. Yeah. And there's been a bit of a transitional period here as well, because I've ended up signing for Brisbane Roar in the meantime, which has been interesting.
How did you sign for Brisbane Roar? How did that come about?
Well, I initially only signed a 12-month contract at Western United, and everything was going great at Western United. But I think at your age, when you're 36 now, and you come across, and yes, you're trying to build a lifestyle and for your family and settle, but you're also looking at what am I going to progress into and what am I going to do next. And the club was actually moving in a slower process than probably what they thought they were going to move in. Being in their inaugural season, the first team had taken priority and everything was moving in that direction. And the other things that were meant to be materializing in the background, whether it be the academy, reserves team set up, and other things, weren't going to eventuate till much further down the line. So at the end of my year's playing contract, where was I going to go and what was I going to be? And there was no guarantees. So after speaking to a few people and seeing where everything was at, because those things now weren't going to be available to me till later on, I decided that going to another football club and extending my playing career, which I have done at Brisbane, I'm still contracted for another season. And to play with a guy like Robbie Fowler under him was something that was really interesting to me, because we all know him as a player. What a player, huh?
Can you understand him properly?
Sorry?
Can you understand him properly?
Yeah, of course I can. Hey, if I understand the Scots, I'm all right with the Scousers, mate. Not right. But he like, again, him and his number 2 have been great with me. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, they've left us now. They never returned to finish the season due to family reasons, which was quite sad, but totally understandable under the circumstances. But we're now just moving on, and this Sunday we've got our very first game back. We've got 4 games left to the end of the season, and we start that process against Adelaide United on Sunday night. So I'm really looking forward to that.
You're sitting in 4th right now, as I'm looking at here. So what's the format of the A-League like? Is it like the top X amount of teams go into a playoff? Or? Yeah,
it's exactly like America. So like the playoff system. So we'll go into, there'll be the top 6. And then once that's whoever's in the top 6, 3rd will play 6th, 4th will play 5th. The winners of those 2 games will then play 1st and 2nd in semi-finals. And then the winner of those 2 games then goes and plays in the final. And that's
interesting.
That's how they decide who wins it.
So Sydney's pretty much guaranteed in the semi-finals then, because they're points ahead of 3rd. So
they've been flying.
I will be having a look at your progress and how it goes, because I'm that sort of guy. I'm that weirdo in the corner that just sits and looks at other league statistics when Motherwell aren't playing, because I'm that into football.
Oh well, if you get BT Sport on, you'll certainly see some of the games, I imagine, because that's where the coverage is at for the A-League.
I'm definitely looking at it, because I'm planning on starting, because some Motherwell games are going to be behind closed doors. I'm going to be doing a live stream series where I'm going to cover or just do a sort of live fan reaction watch along of the Motherwell games. Just because it's something to replace the vlogs, because I'm not going to be able to do like match day vlogs for the time being the pandemic. I've got a few more questions before we end off today. Oh, my camera's timed out again. That's great. There we go. We're back. So if you could make up a 5-a-side team with players you've played alongside in your career, who'd be in it and why?
Oh, all right, okay. Mark Schwarzer in goal.
Of course.
Mark Schwarzer, top keeper. Really enjoyed playing with him. What a professional. Played till he was like 41. Ended up playing with some top clubs, Leicester and Chelsea as well, Middlesbrough, Fulham, and over 100 caps for Australia. Says it all, really. I think, so definitely have him in goal. This is tough, actually, in terms of who you would have in your team out with that. I think there's a lot of Australian internationals that you look at and you go, wow.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking centre half. Who would I have at centre half? Do you know what? I'm gonna go with Lucas Neal,
All right.
another Aussie.
Yeah.
You know, Lucas Neal again was so versatile. Had a bit of everything, bit of dig, could play. Back in the day, he used to play right back as well, so he was fit and, you know, technically good. So he would be in there. This is where it gets tricky. It gets really tricky here.
It does.
In terms of I've got 3 left, haven't I?
Yeah.
So who do I pick? Nakamura's in there 100%.
Oh, he's got to be in there.
Yeah, Nakamura's probably the best player I've ever played with, you know, so from that sense, you know, Naka has to be in there. And then I would go Aidan McGeady as well. Probably the most talented player I've ever played with in terms of skills, just unbelievably skillful. And if you want a player in FiveaSide, he's going to be the one.
Yeah.
He's going to tear it up.
Actually, I was at university in Sunderland for the last year, and I did walk past Aidan McGeady quite a couple of times.
Did you?
Because he's, of course, at Sunderland now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's right. Nice place, Durham. Spent many a day down there.
Sunderland.
Beautiful.
How was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice bit. But getting back to my 5, not finished yet.
Come on, sorry.
Matt Letizia.
Matt Letizia, of course.
Matt Letizia, right up top. Legod, he has to be. And in a 5-a-side, it would suit him down to the T because he doesn't really want to move too much anyway. So, but yeah, that would probably be my 5 there, just off the top of my head.
That's a fantastic 5-a-side. That competes with Marvin Bartley's. He had a solid one as well. Who's the best coach you've worked under?
Oh, I think it has to be Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't start too well with Gordon, mind you. Let's be real. After that story I told you at the start, but in terms of what he got out of me and how he progressed me and made me such a more complete footballer during my time at Celtic, I'd probably have to say Gordon for the amount of time I spent with him. But you know, Terry was influential in other ways. How he progressed me and gave me the opportunity and gave me the confidence. His man management skills were excellent.
What do you miss about Scotland the most?
M&S.
M&S.
I miss it. Me and the wife always so miss Marks and Spencers, mate. I know it's not absolutely Scottish. It's more obviously UK, but
yeah.
Man, I miss M&S, mate, hugely.
What would you say is your most prized possession in terms of memorabilia from your career?
That's difficult. I think, do you know what? My prized possession, everyone always said that. I mean, I think material stuff is great, but I think the memories that I've been able to have and some of the special moments that I've been able to create within my career, I think these totally outweigh anything materialistic that I could have ever dreamed of, you know, and having. A winner's medals is nice, but you know, it's just there. The memories are the things that you really go back to.
It's a fantastic answer, and I just want to say, like, one of the most prized possessions as a football fan I have is for my 18th birthday, Faddy signed this artwork. It says, "To Goggsy, happy 18th, best wishes, James McFadden."
That's brilliant. Faddy's top man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a top man. Like that was 3 years ago I got that. So that's...
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, I may not look it, but I'm actually 21 now, which is absolutely absurd.
Well, I remember when you used to come down the training ground when you were like that, mate, back in the day.
So what So, what is your preferred follow-up career path after you hang up the boots again?
I think we covered it more or less at the moment.
Yeah.
I think I'm sort of at a crossroads with it. Do I believe I'd be a good manager? Hell yeah.
Excellent.
Do I want to be one? Absolutely. It's a bit like when I was a player. I have that mindset for no one's going to tell me any different. I'm not going to be able to do it or be very, very good at it. So that will never change. But I love doing the media stuff, and I love watching top games and those games, being a part of European Champions League nights and doing them. And it's been unfortunate the pandemics came because I was meant to be doing the Euros as well with a TV company out here.
Oh, that'd been great.
So that's been a bit of a shame, but still going to be more opportunities to do more work out here as well. So yeah, we'll see how it progresses, mate. But at the moment, it could be pretty much anything.
Who's the most difficult player you've come up against?
I'd have to say probably in Europe, there was a guy called Gabriel Milito.
In
Barcelona.
Milan as well.
Yeah, that's his brother, Diego. So Diego's a centre forward. Gabriel was a centre half.
Ah, right. Okay.
And
makes more
he
sense.
was probably only about 5'10" or 5'11". But I was used to playing against big 6 foot plus, massive centre halves that you could. It sounds weird, but I could pin them. I could back into them, use my big ass. But this guy was so mobile, and he read the game so well, and he always he would get in front of me all the time. And being a younger player, I didn't know how to combat it. It's just everything I was doing, he was always had the answer to, and it was a horrendous evening, because he was making me look stupid, Goggsy. I just couldn't. And then even when I was actually bringing it in, then I was so disorientated by him being there that I'm just thinking he's going to nick it, that I ended up losing the ball anyhow. So it was a tough lesson at the highest of levels, and really something to made me think about my game a lot more.
Here's the make or break round. We've got a couple more questions, and these are the upper echelons. Like, the professional footballers don't expect these sort of questions, but they're always quite funny to hear the answers. So picture the scene. You're standing in the pick and mix aisle of a sweet shop. You can only pick 3 sweets to put in your bag. What 3 sweets do you choose and why?
One of those strawberry fizz sticks.
Yeah.
I'd have one of them because I love...
like the fizzy laces?
Yeah, exactly them. Yeah, probably one of them. Definitely a wine gum.
Oh, I love a wine gum.
Do like a wine gum. And my third, a cola bottle.
Oh, changes perspective.
Yeah, but I've already got a fizzy lace, so I can't have fizzy cola bottle. So it'll just be a plain one.
Ah, fair.
I'd actually suck it. I wouldn't buy it because I like to taste it.
The taste is very good anyway.
Weird, isn't it? But here we go.
Do not clip this for no context. Just whatever. But as it is summertime in Scotland, what is the best thing to put on a Barbie?
Well, it's not a shrimp. I'll tell you that.
That's the reference I was after.
Yeah. All right. Aussies don't put shrimps on the Barbie. Jim Carrey puts shrimps on the Barbie. It's got to be a snag, mate. It's got to be a sausage.
Oh yeah,
isn't it? Sausage sizzle.
That's another.
They love them here. It's traditional.
Do you miss Lauren sausages from Scotland, like the square ones?
Do you know what? No, not really, because I actually never ate them because I love them. No, I love them, but I'm just so disciplined. I just wouldn't eat stuff like that.
It's bad for the cholesterol.
I just wouldn't eat it. Yeah, I mean, brown sauce or red sauce?
I'm not actually a sauce guy. I'm plain vanilla. I just
come
like
on, Goggsy, that's boring, mate. You've got to live life a little bit. Come on.
I'm the most boring person when it comes to eating. Like, my diet has let me down. My diet's the reason why I'm not a professional footballer.
Yeah. Oh well, there you go.
Yeah. Final make or break question is: you're making a playlist for the rest of the season for the dressing room, but you can only use 3 artists. Who's in your playlist and why?
I think I'm down with the kids, Goggsy. I am down with the kids, and this is what really surprises them. A bit of Drake.
All right.
Chris Brown. Because Chris Brown...
You are in with the kids.
Chris Brown's got both of them have got so many different songs, so you'll make a good playlist out of them. And Kings of Leon would be my third, though.
Oh, that is.
So I'm throwing in a little curveball there.
Yeah, that is.
I love a bit of Kings of Leon. I can listen to anything, mate.
That's very good, man. So before we end off today's episode, I would like to ask if you have a player to nominate for the next episode.
Player to nominate. I'm trying to think who could we get? Who could we get? That'd be entertaining. Former Motherwell?
Could be. I mean, well, of course you play with Tom Aldred, don't you?
I do actually. I do. I can have a word to Tom for you. There you go.
That would
Let's
be good,
see if we can get Tommy boy.
One thing I did meet Tom Aldred before. He's featured on the channel before, but that was during a vlog. But one time I was at the club and I was interviewing like 3 different players one day, and Tom Aldred, like all the players are walking out to go up the stairs of the main stand to go into the gym, and then Tom Aldred chucks a wee stone and it hits me right in the head.
That's better than what he can do with a football, Goggsy.
I know.
If he tried to do that with a football, he'd be miles away for you. I hope he doesn't see that. He'll take that to heart, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure
he's you know what? He's been great for us. He's a great leader. He's our club captain here, and he only lives around the corner from me as well. So I spent a lot of time with him, especially lockdown. And he's because obviously I didn't really know Tom. Obviously, the relationship built on both of us playing at Motherwell, knowing a lot of people, but he's been fantastic here at the football club and great defender. And he actually, you know what, I'm doing him a disservice there in terms of what I said earlier there, because he's a very good footballer. So he plays out from the back well, and the way we like to play is we do build up from the back, and the game's a lot slower here due to obviously the conditions as well. But he's thoroughly enjoyed it thus far, and hopefully we can finish on a high. Excellent, and I hope you do well. Now, I've asked you some questions. Well, a lot of questions, to be honest. This is the longest podcast I've ever had. Have you got anything to ask me? What's your favourite ever game as a Motherwell fan? Oh, so many. I would say it has to be something that features yourself. Why does it? No, it doesn't. Well, what's your most memorable? Most memorable? God, off the top of my head. I had a memorable game on Boxing Day. We went up to Ross County and we scored twice in the last 10 minutes to win 2-1. But I would have to say beating Rangers at Hampden. Yeah, for the semi-final. The semi-final, that's got to be my all-time favourite game. The absolute scenes when Louis Moult scored that chip. Is that the most? Do you reckon that's probably the most emotional you've ever been at a game? I've been quite emotional at other games. Like I think you might have played this one when we got beat at Ibrox in the Scottish Cup. Oh mate, we 1-0 up. We 1-0 up with like 10 minutes to go, and Kenny Miller scored twice. I also went viral during that after that game. My reaction. I've seen that one. Yeah, I did see that one. Of course, you've seen that one. Plus, they were all wanting to get you back for obviously previous. Yeah, absolutely. But but the cup semi-final against Rangers at Hampden, because it meant that much more to me because of what's happened previously between me and Rangers games. Yeah, I would have to say that one. Many more to come, my friend. Many more to come. I hope so. So one more for you. Right, I'm going to ask you another question, right? prediction for this season then?
I reckon the way we've recruited so early on in the transfer window, and the fact that we are, in my opinion, one of the most ready teams in the league, due to the fact that everyone else has basically not been prepared for it. Well, no one's prepared for it. But I think Motherwell are good enough again. I think we're almost better than we were last season, so I think we'll be in the top 3. I'm not going to specify where in the top 3, but
I couldn't disagree with you, mate. And you need a little bit of luck along the way in terms of cup runs. But
honestly, I would love another crack at Europe, because of course we won't be able to get to the qualifiers this year unless we somehow make it to the group stages. But if I can, I'll be a happy man if I can ever go abroad to see Motherwell play.
Good. Well, fingers crossed, mate. I hope it happens for you, especially this year. Anyway,
yeah,
everyone comes out of it.
Yeah, well, I would like to thank you very much again for your time. We've gone way over the 1 hour I suggested, but
no, I know,
fantastic.
I should be charging you. No, I'm joking.
You should.
You're all right, pal.
But
pleasure. Look, mate, I'll just say this as well. I know it's your podcast, but thanks for all your support, mate, especially during the time I was there.
Absolutely.
And again, for you and all your Motherwell fans out there, best of luck for the season.
Thank you very much, Scott, and I really appreciate that. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and massive thanks again to Scott for coming on. And yeah, without any further ado, we'll finally leave you here, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Bye-bye.